Hello, Namaskar. You're watching BTTV. This is Market Today. I'm Tanya Aneja and with me, Shail Bhatnagar, our markets editor. Well, Indian markets have found their lost mojo and now trending higher in October. But will the momentum sustain going forward? We'll discuss this and lots more. But first up, the top headlines for you. Indian stocks are likely to resume their upward trajectory on Friday as pent-up demand on quality blue chips and relatively inexpensive PSU stocks remains unabated. Government metal PSUs and defense plays will be top action-oriented stocks in the cash segment. Tech giant Infosys reported a strong second quarter performance with its profit up 3.2% on a year-on-year basis to 6,212 crore rupees. Revenue rose 7%, but the software major cut its sales guidance for the full year. Stock is likely to react positively on the Lal Street today. Very good morning, Shell. It's Friday finally, and bulls have been in action this week. Though it was a range-bound session yesterday, but today I think markets are likely to open marginally higher as trends in the gift Nifty indicate a positive start for the markets. So where do you see Nifty, and what should be the strategy for today?
Good morning, Tanya, and it's a lovely morning to all our viewers from India and across the world. Welcome to Market Today on Business Today Television. Tanya, it's also Friday the 13th, so we need to be cautious as far as markets are concerned. Lots of data to react, some of them positive and some of them negative. But the fact remains that the Nifty ended flat at about 17,800 yesterday. Remember, it was the weekly expiry for this particular index and therefore trade was flat. In fact, if you see the 15-minute chart of the Nifty, I have pulled it out for the last 4 sessions. We had 3 gap ups, and after those 3 gaps, the previous 2 sessions have been in a very narrow trending range, which is a narrow corridor of say 60 to 80 points. This is what is in front of you. This is a 15-minute chart for the previous 4 trading sessions, and the last 2 have been range bound absolutely. So 19,760 to 19,820. So it's a 70-80 point trading range, and the Nifty is looking for cues to sort of either break out of this range on the upside or break down on the downside. Now, what are these cues? We had fabulous inflation data yesterday for the Indian economy, and inflation is now well below RBI's threshold. That's a positive. Now, the thing is that the RBI cannot cut rates unless the US Federal Reserve starts to cut rates. Therefore, the strategic pause that we saw on interest rates will remain in place at least from April onwards till now. So these are positives and a mild muted thing. What is the negative? Infosys earnings were pretty good, but they shaved off a single percentage point on the guidance. 1 to 2.5% was the guidance given for 3.5% was the guidance given for FY24 sales. They've trimmed it down to 1 to 2.5%. So that points to a weakness in the US economy and especially the tech sector. So that's going to be a bit of a negative as far as markets are concerned. And you have all these charts coming in front of you. But let's now pay attention to the Nifty. So sentiment has definitely improved on the Lal Street. The trend for the Nifty is up, and the gift Nifty is actually pointing to a gap down. So buy on dip remains the best intraday strategy till the point 19,600 is not broken. That's a very strong support level both on the options chain as well as on the technical charts. So the other positives, Tanya, is that the global 10-year US yield and crude oil prices are flat or are trending down. So that's a positive for bulls who look at macro data and look at trend spotting at that point of time. When it comes to individual stocks in the Nifty, it's ITC, Grasim and Power Grid that show the strongest charts on the long side. So this narrow trading range of 70 to 80 points is likely to break on either side. Of course, it will depend upon how trade will happen, and it will be light today because we've seen a nice 4-day advance and it's a Friday, so traders will be cautious on the long side. The options chain shows a very strong support at 19,700, so if you see a dip towards that side, that is a dip that has to be purchased at least till the time 19,600 holds, and the resistance at the moment, Tanya, is that 19,900 and 20,000 have opened up on the higher side. My own understanding is that we'll see a record high on the Nifty in October. We are at about 13th of October, and there are about another maybe 10 odd trading sessions left. Let's see how it pans out on the Nifty. So the trend is up, buy on dip, and the fact that the underlying current is fairly positive, minus IT.
Okay, the trend is up and it's a buy on dip strategy. That's the word coming in on Nifty. But also, Shail, let's discuss about Bank Nifty now. For Bank Nifty as well, I think the trend is positive and the sentiment has also improved. So what are you looking on Bank Nifty today? And if you could also tell us, the fresh support and resistance levels as well.
Actually, Tanya, the Bank Nifty offers a better structural profile on the long side compared with the Nifty. It's trading above most of its smaller moving averages, and that's a big plus as far as the index is concerned. The trend has considerably improved on the Bank Nifty, and that's the reason why it's trading at its highest level in October so far. In fact, even the Nifty is at its highest level in October so far. So it's a 2.5, 3 week high on both indices. The good point as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, Tanya, is that it's the heaviest weighted stock on the Bank Nifty, and HDFC Bank is showing not only strength on the charts but short covering in its options chain. So that's a very big positive for both the individual stock as well as the index. And coupling with HDFC Bank is ICICI Bank. They have, both these charts have an upward bias when it comes to how they look structurally. Therefore, Bank Nifty is likely to outperform on a better zone, and the trading range is seen anywhere between 44,500 to 45,000 on the options chart. The index actually was in the green yesterday, up 82 points at 44,600. So support at 44,500 and a resistance at 45,000. Tanya.
Okay, absolutely. So these are the support and resistance levels. Keep an eye on that. And what about future and option space? Lots happening there as well. If you could also tell us about the strategy when it comes to F&O space.
Tanya, I'm more of a cash guy, and there's an immense amount of goodwill and price and volume action happening in cash stocks, especially on the government metals PSU basket. So you saw a 5% rise on NMDC yesterday. It was the top gainer both in the F&O space largely, and of course the metal space, 5.6% higher. There's a very, very strong traction happening in National Aluminium, 4% higher, as also in the cash counters like GMDC. If you remember, we've discussed this a couple of stocks over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions, and cash, the level of buoyancy that's there in the cash market is phenomenal. So all my attention and all my detail is focused on the government metal PSU basket, and lots of positive changes are emanating there. Charts have been broken out to the extent of 12 years, 14 years. So those are the breakouts that need to be chased. But coming to F&O, if I have to really put my neck forward, I would look at ITC within the Nifty space. That's showing a pretty good traction. It's a short covering of a fall of open interest of 1.2%. The price is fairly okay, 1% higher in yesterday's trade. It's the delivery that's coming up, 43% higher on Thursday compared with Wednesday. So these are the positives that I look at. 452 is where the stock ended as far as futures are concerned, and deliveries are good, short coverings are happening, and this is one of those stocks that has got its mojo back. Apart from that, Power Grid looks good. Again, a high beta, low ticket size, 201 rupees, 1% higher. A flat open interest, but delivery statistics are pretty high, 1.3x higher on Thursday versus Friday. So these are the two stocks that are on my radar as far as the Nifty is concerned. And of course, the entire government PSU metals pack. It's just booming with stock ideas.
Absolutely. And Shail, you rightly pointed out, GMDC and NMDC, these stocks have been on a roll of late. And we have been discussing it on our show as well. And we'll discuss it with our market guest as well, who will join us shortly. But meanwhile, let's discuss, global markets as well. So if you look at the Wall Street, all three major indexes ended the day in the red. Dow was down 173 points, S&P was down 0.6%, and Nasdaq also 0.6%. Now, even though the three major averages ended Thursday with losses, but they're each on pace for weekly gains. So S&P 500, that is up 0.9%. On a weekly basis, Dow is up 0.7%, and Nasdaq is the outperformer of the three, up 1%. Oil prices also rose on Thursday, reversing their earlier gains. Now, this is on the expectations that US interest rates had peaked. So, I want to understand from you, Shail, now that what is essential to track from all these overseas cues.
Tanya, I just look at two data: crude oil futures, which are flat to sideways, which is a positive for Indian markets, and of course I do look at the Dow chart and so on and so forth. They're in fine shape, somewhere like 200 DMA. It was the fourth day of the rally on at least the Nasdaq and the SPX, and therefore you saw a slight profit booking. But as long as crude is not on the boil, it's good times for Indian equity markets, and sentiment normally remains positive on the Lal Street in the short term. So weak crude, better equities, weak US 10-year bond yield, better equities, and both of them are actually mildly on the weak to sideways zone after hitting substantially strong highs. So these are the only two numbers that I'm looking at. US 10-year bond yield, it dipped a bit, and of course crude oil futures at the moment weak to sideways. People are just waiting as to how the Israeli ground invasion into Gaza will pan out, and crude will then react in either direction. So at the moment both of them are tepid, so these cues are strong for us. Therefore I hope that Indian equities will perform better on Friday today.
Okay, absolutely. Now it's time to welcome our market guest. So Gaurav Dua joins in. He's the Senior VP and Head of Capital Market Strategy at Sharekhan. Very good morning, Mr. Dua, and thank you so much for being with us here on Business Today Television. I want to begin by asking you about your outlook on Indian markets because, we have, this escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, but markets have really been resilient and they have absorbed the initial shock. So what should be the strategy and how are you approaching markets at this point in time?
So if you see, it is not only the war. If you see about past this thing, about a month or so, you had this thing, slew of news, right from the fact that the interest rates are going to stay high for this long time in US. You had the surge in the oil prices. You had the strengthening of the dollar, and now you have this war, right? With all this bad news, also markets are holding on. So this 40 days back, you are almost at the same level. So I think that is showing extremely good strength, and that is somewhere is also supported by the fact that we have this strong inflows, and number two, the quarter two is not going to be so bad after the strong growth that we've seen in this in quarter one. This in quarter two expectations are also quite good.
Mr. Dua, good morning. Welcome to Market Today on Business Today Television. It's a pleasure to host you, sir. Would you comment on how you see the slight trimming of guidance on Infosys? One, how will it impact the stock price? And two, where do you see value in this kind of a market? Would you suggest some stocks to buy on the long-term basis for our viewers?
So when you speak about the ID sector, the expectation was that you'll start seeing some improvement in growth in H2, which is now clear will not happen, right? So the indications from these companies are that the growth in quarter three and this in quarter four will also be slow. That is what is shown in their this thing cut of the guidance. Uh, this means that basically IT stocks will this thing continue to underperform the markets, and probably now the expectations are that in FY25 you'll start seeing the growth. So I think that there is absolutely no hurry to buy these stocks in the this thing short run. Talking about the value, I mean, markets are not cheap anymore, right? So this is the time when you have to be extremely careful to pick your stocks. So you have to go for stock specific stories now, rather than this thing trying to chase a sector or a space.
So you were advised remaining in cash at this moment, Mr. Dua. Is that what we should understand?
No, I am not saying that at all. I believe that you need to be invested. You can have some cash on the sidelines, but I think markets to me actually look good. Basically, inflation is this thing coming down. This thing quarterly earnings will not be bad. And if you see the past history, the last 6 months to the election, national elections are always good for the markets.
Fair point. You won't stretch your neck out and name a couple of stocks, is it?
We can do that, though I don't want to be stock specific here. When you talk about this thing mid caps, we like
Fair point.
basically stocks like uh, uh, this Wellspun Corporation, this Wonderla Holidays. We'll go for stocks, where we see next 2 years there's growth, and the price earning are still in the range of 14, 15, 16. Okay, that's the way to look at the market at this moment.
Fair point, sir.
Mr. Dua, what about your expectations from September earnings? I mean, any sectors that can deliver healthy earnings growth according to you? Any surprises that we can expect going forward?
So, if you see the numbers, you're already expecting basically improvement in the margins in spaces like auto, in spaces like cement. So you will see very strong earning growth in these spaces, but then it is already there in expectations, right? So again, I think you need to be very, 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 very this thing stock specific here. Where we would still this thing stick our neck out is banks, especially in private sector banks. If you see, most of the larger banks have actually underperformed in a year or so. If you look at State Bank of India, ICICI, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, they haven't gone anywhere in a year or so, and we have seen improvement in their this thing growth. You are seeing strong advances growth, despite all that fact, and the fact that you are somewhere this thing close to the peak of the interest rate cycle. So I think that's a space where I see a lot of this thing safety and opportunity.
Okay, absolutely. And Mr. Dua, since we are talking about, since we talked about large IT names, why don't you tell us more about mid-cap IT names? Because, stocks like Birlasoft, KPIT Tech, they have seen a stellar run. So, what are your thoughts when you talk about mid-cap IT stocks?
So if you look at IT sector, these large cap names, the street is now expecting a very low growth over FY 23 to 25. You are talking about a CAGR growth of of this is 7 to 10% kind of a range, be it Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, TCS, all of them. When you talk about some of the smaller companies, basically stocks like this Coforge, KPIT, Emphasis, Persistent System, they are going to show higher growth, 18% kind of a growth. So these stocks are going to do better. But on the other side, some of these stocks are already trading at premium to these large cap names. So you have Infosys available now at 21 times, 22 times on their FY this thing, 25 earnings. Some of these stocks are already there, or they are at higher this thing P multiple. So the whole scope for for this thing, higher return in that space, I think is this thing, is this thing narrowing down. And I don't think that space is going to outperform now.
Dua Sahab, let's take this discussion in a different format. Where do you see excessive overvaluation in the market where investors and traders should stay away on the long side?
So of course, the broader markets, you have seen this 42% kind of gain in the small cap index. This micro cap index has gone by 47%, 48% in the 6 months. So I think the broader space has become expensive. That is where I believe that you could see some pain. You might see see some underperformance. So if you look at the numbers, your Sensex or this thing Nifty is this is probably trading at around this 22 times, 23 times, trailing this thing price to earning. But if you look at BSC is a 500 index. It is at around 34 times, 35 times. So obviously that part of the market is looking expensive, not only in the absolute terms, but also this thing compared to the large caps, and also this thing compared to small caps, mid caps across the world.
Fair point, and it's a valid argument when you look at how the mid cap and the small cap index have moved since April. The mid cap up about 27%, the small cap up about 35%. It's a fair assessment that markets are overheated and some pockets are really, defying not only gravity but statistical performance as well. And Mr. Dua is good to suggest that caution is the primary aim of a trader and investor. Unless you are cautionary about your stock picks, you regret at leisure when it comes to markets and when it comes to buying stocks. Mr. Dua, the other thing I wanted to understand your view was on local inflation. The number has been fairly good and below the RBI threshold. How do you see it panning out in the second half of the financial year?
So I think it is going to inch up from here, especially the fact that the oil prices are high. Globally, it's not clear. It's extremely uncertain. If you look at the agri data in this agri season, there is hardly any growth. That means there is a good chance that you might again see the prices of this food inflation going up. So I think on the inflation side, there is always a risk on the higher side here, which is what I think RBI also understands, and we believe that the interest rates are likely to stay high for some more time.
Right, sir. So what we'll do now is pay a little attention to pre-open rates, which are right there in front of us. It's the impact of Infosys earnings, which have come up fairly negatively on the Nifty. It's a downtick of 131 points, 19,650. Remember 19,600 is a very strong support level, but these are pre-open rates and they tend to improve fairly dramatically in the next 5 or 7 minutes. Okay, let's start with Infosys. Down 3%. The fall has extended beyond the fall in the Infosys ADR. 1421. Remember, the company had trimmed its FY24 guidance from 1.1 to 3.5% rise in sales to 1 to 2.5%. Okay. What is Reliance doing? Down 1%, 2323. ICICI Bank down 2.5%, 930. HDFC Bank down 2%, 1520. I just want to see what ITC is doing. It's flat at 450. Remember, if the markets overall are trending down, then it's the defensive space that comes into action. So Hindustan Unilever and ITC on the long side should be doing fairly well, but it's a matter of time. Let's see how it goes. Okay, there is more pain on Infosys. It's now down 5% at 1390. Remember, Infosys and earnings and the next day have a very, very deep relationship with the market. Any dip on that day which is purchased gives dramatic results over the next 2 or 3 months. So perhaps this is the time for long-term investors to open their purse strings. Let us see how Infosys settles. But at the moment, the Nifty is showing a downtick of 265 points, 19,545, down about 1.25%, and the majority of those losses are mainly on because of Infosys. Let's shift focus immediately to F&O stocks beyond the index heavyweights, and let's look at top gainers. Petronet 1% higher, 231. Cummins flat, 1730. Oberoi Realty 1% higher, 1159. Exide Industries, we've discussed this stock in the past 2 days, in the green, 0.5% higher, 265.45. Cipla 0.5% higher, 1164. Nothing much here. I think they're just sort of reacting very negatively to the strong dip that you see on Bank Nifty. We'll shift focus to NSE 500 immediately and look at stocks. Okay, Angel One 3.8% higher, 2187. Remember, the company came out with a good explanation on how the past quarter has been. MMTC flat, 7060. SGVN 1.3% higher, 7175. Ingenious India 1.6% higher, 142.85. Raymond is in the green, 1.2% higher at 1800. It's actually the index heavyweights that are causing this carnage actually. With Infosys, it's HDFC Bank that's down 2.5%, 1512. ICICI Bank down 2.5%, 930. L&T down 2%, 3015. Reliance down 2%, 2305. I haven't seen in the recent memory this kind of a downtick, and perhaps this is the absolute right time to welcome Vaishali Parekh, Assistant Vice President, Technical Research and Analysis, Prabhudas Leeladhar. Good morning, Vaishali. It's a pleasure to host you. How do you see this strange opening that we have on the Nifty today? Your views there, and then we'll discuss stocks. I hope the bright yellow that you are wearing will attract the bulls today.
I'm very hopeful too. Good morning to all of you. Well, my mind frame is still quite bullish because we've seen amidst all the negative news that we are coming across, all the choppiness, market is trying to surge high. So technically, I will still maintain that as long as 19,450 as a support level is held on, I would say that it's a buy at every decline. And likewise, even Bank Nifty. Well, we are not seeing a good run up coming in all the front line, though HDFC Bank was showing signs of bottoming out and all. But well, on a broad base, I would say Bank Nifty 43,800 should be held on to maintain a positive upward bias. Once we see a decisive move coming past 45,500, 45,800, we would be seeing a trigger for 46,000 to 47,000 that comes as a projected target. So the trend is all intact as long as the crucial support levels are respected.
So what are the stocks that you're looking at on the long or the short side for this kind of an environment?
Well, so my focus is more on the mid cap counter because they still continue to give good returns. Like you rightly said, like MMTC, all the mining stocks doing so well. And well, we've been fortunate, we have timed it well and we've given it to our clients. Now, once again, I would be looking at, well, safe stock. CDSL. Yesterday, you saw that, well, the trend is upward and we are seeing good fresh buying candle seen on the daily chart. So I would say it is still a buy. So my view is a buy even now with a trailing stop loss of 1320. And now I would be looking at a target of 1500 to start with and even higher for a longer positional trade. The other stock that comes to my mind is VIP Industries. Yesterday we saw good candle formation, good upward trend, and new round of momentum right after taking support on moving averages. So I would say that, well, 670 should be, 665 should be the stop loss and look for a trading target of 720 and not to miss the PSU small banks once again. So the other stock that I'm looking at is IDBI Bank. Have a look at the chart. It's again in the new round of momentum, and we see that the indicators, even RSI and all, are showing fresh buying strategy over here. So I would say 65 should act as a good support, and well, one has to be having a positional view. I would look at a target to start with 78 to 80, and even 90 cannot be ruled out.
Okay, these are the three charts that seem to be singing a bullish tone as far as Vaishali's picks are concerned, and her presence has dramatically improved sentiment on Dalal Street. We were down 268 points, and in the last 2 odd minutes as Vaishali speaks, we are now down just 134 points. And I am sure that this dip that you see on the charts will actually be purchased. But nevertheless, let's look at prices again in the pre-open space. For the moment, Infosys is still down 4%. Remember, it was down about 5.5% earlier. There is a dramatic improvement in HDFC Bank. It's now down 0.5%, 15.40. Reliance down 0.5%, 23.40. And of course, ITC and Hindustan Unilever are just mildly in the red. So at the moment, the Nifty settled 140 points lower, 19,654. Remember, 19,650, 19,600 is a very, very strong support for the bulls, and this dip that you see is likely to be purchased. It's the first day of a fresh weekly expiry on the Nifty, so we'll be paying attention to 19,600 and 19,700 call on the long side. Vaishali, a couple of points if you could talk about on the metal space as far as government PSUs are concerned. Your view on any particular stock that you like on the charts.
So, well, to start with, I would say SAIL. Again, if you see that this stock, SAIL and NALCO, they have not performed. Of course, if you could take NMDC in this category, NMDC has been an outperformer and it's doing very well. But SAIL and NALCO, technically, I think it's a very, very favorable risk-reward ratio. I would definitely say SAIL with the support of 85 one can accumulate, and further conviction comes only about 93, 94 once we see the previous resistance being crossed. Then I think 100, 105 is a possible target. And likewise, even NALCO, National Aluminium, what we saw yesterday, it was showing, it was attempting to move higher, and we've seen a good candle. So I would say, well, the near-term support lies at around 94. We close at 98.80. I think this is ready for a takeoff towards target of 103.
Okay, absolutely. Good morning, Vishali. I want to get your thoughts on Infosys. Infosys reported a strong quarter performance. However, the company lowered its full year revenue forecast for the second time in a row. So, what do the technical charts suggest for the Infosys? Is it time to buy or is it time to go short on this particular stock?
Well, so I would relate it with the IT sector, and I think on the whole, IT sector holds 31,500 as a crucial support level. So now, if we go below this, then it negates my positive view for the IT stocks. And
Okay.
Infosys right now, currently, it is at a support level 1380, 1400 is a very good support band. So if we respect that support level, I think it would give a bounce back. But unless and until we see that happening, I would not be able to give a clear view because there is no proper trend. Of course, right now the pre-opening shows a lot of weakness, but once again we are back above 114.20, 14.30, then it is a continuation of an upward trend. So till then, it is a wait and watch scenario.
Okay, absolutely. That's the verdict coming in on Infosys. And what about HCL Tech, Vaishali? What are your thoughts there? I mean, what do the technical charts suggest for this particular stock after the results?
I'll just have a look.
Yeah.
So HCL Tech actually also has now shown a downward slide. So once again, 1200 holds as a good support level. If we see a break of 1200, I think in all likelihood this can go to 1140.
Okay, absolutely. And some of the stocks that will be in focus ahead of numbers. Vaishali, we have HDFC Life Insurance Company that will release its numbers today, Avenue Supermarts tomorrow, and then we have HDFC Bank on 15th. So if you could, quickly tell us about these three stocks.
Sure. So to start with HDFC Life, purely on technical terms, the trend is good. It has been into a consolidation for quite some time. 615 acts as a good support. We can call it a double bottom formation. And if the stock goes above 630, 635 levels decisively, I think this is ready for a further upward move going towards 670. The other one you said Avenue Supermart. I think Avenue Supermart technically very well placed. I think this needs to really show good positive move right now. It is in the process of higher bottom formation. So, the near-term target, keeping 3600 as support level, I would look at 4000 as the near-term target. And if we sustain higher, well, in all likelihood, we could see even 4200 levels. And what was the third stock that you asked me?
HDFC Bank, Vaishali.
Oh yes, so HDFC Bank, as I said, it was showing signs of bottoming out. In fact, yesterday it gave a pretty decent close. So above 1545, above 1548, I think we closed somewhere there. It would be ready for a trading target of 1570. But I would definitely say that for long-term perspective also, there are three stocks which are on my list. One is ITC, one is HDFC Bank, and the third one is Reliance. So they are all on monthly support, also technically on 200-day moving average. And these three stocks are showing signs of bottoming out. And these being the heavyweight ones, of course, they're not going to show us immediate returns. But in my view, this is an observation that even for a long-term perspective, one can start accumulating these stocks.
Two stocks that we should also discuss, Tanya and Vaishali, are of course IRCON and RITES. Both these companies are government PSUs in the railway space, and they've been granted Navratna status when it comes to how the government treats them. It basically means a lot of operational flexibility when it comes to setting up projects around 1000 crore rupees. They don't require explicit government permission, and of course once you become a Navratna, the banks also look at it positively. Vaishali, to you, these charts have been excellent for the bulls and have given phenomenal returns. Would you care to look at RITES and IRCON?
I would say yes, actually. So IRCON, though I'm also seeing the weekly chart, we are in the overbought zone, but that doesn't negate the view. So I would say on a broad base, actually, see, daily chart shows a new round of support coming in, and from here on we can see a run-up. But to be on a conservative side, because on the weekly chart we are highly overbought, and even the other parameters shows that yes, it has gone into a very strong momentum. But having said that, it doesn't mean that one should not buy. It should be a cautious and a disciplined trading strategy. 118 should act as a good support level. If 118 breaks, then that would break the trend. But RITES, I think I'm pretty much comfortable because we are seeing a consolidation coming in. 480, 470 should act as a stop loss. And once we see a move past 500, it's ready for new round.
Right. And markets have opened up as far as trades are concerned. Let's see, the Nifty at the moment is 117 points lower at 19,676. Like I mentioned, it's Vaishali's presence that's aiding the bulls. Infosys down 3.5% for 1413. State Bank of India down 1% at 578. What's HDFC Bank doing? 0.5% lower, 1543. And of course, Reliance flat at about 2341. It's a decent kind of an opening. I don't think so we should be worried about. And then let's wait for this dip, how bulls look at it. At the moment, things look pretty good. Tanya, I would just request you to look at rates. I have to, it seems, reboot my system. I'll just take maybe 5 or 2-3 minutes. Over to you.
Absolutely. I think Shell, some of the top gainers and top losers, if we look at HCL Tech, that is the top gainer for us in today's trading session, up around 1%. And then we have ONGC and SBI Live, that are among the other top gainers for you. Infi, as we pointed out, it remains the top loser for you, 3% downtick there. However, it was down about 5% in pre-open, but now, as we speak, 1422, that is the level on Infosys on your screen. 1425 is the level, 2.73% downtick there. Street clearly not liking the numbers. And apart from Infi, Wipro also following Wipro also among the top losers. Axis Bank, SBI, and Dr. Reddy's. These are also among the top other losers. Let me have a look at some of the mid cap and small cap stocks and see what these stocks are doing in today's trading session. Okay, we have stocks with the likes of HDFC, AMC, ahead of its numbers, and then we have IRFC, Oil India. These are among the top gainers for you from today's trading session. From the mid cap pack, we have APL Apollo Tyres as well, and Max Healthcare. This is also among these stocks are also among the other top gainers for you. And let's look at some of the other sectoral indices and see which stocks are participating and which stocks are not. So actually all the sectoral indices, is, if you see, they are in the red right now. And PSU banks, that's the space where we are seeing bit of profit booking taking place. So Maharashtra Bank, Central Bank, UCO Bank, these are among the top gainers for you. But look at SBI, Bank of Baroda, PNB. These are among the top losers and in the red as we speak. SBI is the top loser from this entire PSU banking space. 580 is the level now on SBI. And then we have Canara Bank, IOB, which are not really supporting the markets. Let's look at some of the other IT counters and see how they are performing in today's trading session. So clearly, we have Infi, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, Mphasis, and in fact, some of the mid-cap IT names, they are also not able to perform and support the markets as we speak. Mphasis, Persistence, LT, Coforge, these are among the other top losers for you. Okay, Coforge is in the green now, trading flat as we speak. So these are among the other, top losers for you. And let's look at some of the other sectoral indices and see. Okay, it's the defensive counters today that are supporting the markets. So basically, when markets fall, it's the defensive counters, that come into action. So clearly, today also we have some of the FMCG names that are supporting the markets. Okay, let me refresh the data I have and look at some of these names. Okay, majority of the FMCG counters. Let's pull up some of the FMCG counters for you and see how the stocks are doing in today's trading session. So clearly, we have stocks like Asian Paints.
Yeah, Tanya.
Are you back with us, Shell?
Tanya, I think, yes, I am. Can we just get Vaishali on the screen? At the moment, Vaishali, this dip has been purchased as far as the Nifty is concerned. What would your strategy be on the index? And let's look at stocks that are now shaping up pretty well. Of course, HCL Tech and Infosys. The dip seems to be getting purchased. What would you do?
I would be a buyer because it's about time IT index needs to perform. And as long as 31,500 level is held on, I would take my chances to buy. In fact, I would accumulate, 1380 to 1400
Okay,
band
fair
is a
point.
good.
Yes,
So that's how I would
fair point.
strategize.
Just let's look at the Nifty. Yes, the Nifty's low was 19,640 in the initial 1 or 2 seconds, and from there you've seen 60 plus 10, 70 point bounce as far as the gap down is concerned. Let's see how it takes on. We touched the fourth support level on the intraday basis, and now we are headed for the second support, which is 19,732. Let's look at how it goes as far as the index is concerned. And the other thing that I wanted to point out was that we've seen a very sharp uptick when it comes to a lot of stocks. Your views, Vaishali, on IRCON 142.20, lots of block deals happening, and like I had mentioned, the entire government metals space is showing a very strong traction. But you go first on IRCON.
Well, so as I said, now for an intraday purpose, it is a good buying opportunity. Keep 131 as a stop loss. And well, for a trading target, I would look at 147, 148. And about that, I would be looking at a target of 155. So Ircon is a buy, and so was RITES. We saw right from the
Okay.
support levels that we mentioned. It is showing a good bounce.
Okay, the first three gainers on the NSE 500, let me just share your names with them. MMTC, 6.2% higher, 74.90. Remember, this is a huge monthly breakout. I would imagine maybe a 7-10 year breakout. RITES and IRCON, these are the two stocks that we had discussed just before markets have opened, respectively 4% higher. HDFC AMC 3% higher, Angel and SGVN 2.5-3% higher, and we are seeing a very strong traction coming on ITI, Oil India and IRFC. Remember, these are all government PSUs that we had discussed a while ago. Let's look at the stocks that have hit fresh 52 weeks. It's again a fairly familiar list. There is Coal India 309.35, Gas Authority 130.21, and of course MMTC. Over to you, Tanya. What are you spotting?
Yeah, so I want to discuss about MMTC only, Shell, because the stock was up 20% yesterday. But if you see at the financial performance of the company, it doesn't justify the kind of moves that we are seeing on MMTC. So, Vaishali, why don't you give us a quick technical check when it comes to MMTC? I mean, will the momentum sustain going forward as well?
So I would look at, well, it is technically, well, it defies everything that he's saying because it is in a robust up move. In fact, our stock tracking was right from 40 levels, and then we saw a dip which was at around 55 levels. That was a good level because we were seeing a strong trend coming in. So my trading target would come to around 80 levels for now. But if 80 levels is sustained, and if we see a further run up and a good volume pickup, I think in all likelihood this stock is ready to go towards 100 levels also. So, well, with strategic trading, I think you can gain much higher rewards from here.
Okay, absolutely. And what about HDFC AMC, Vaishali? This is also, the top gainer from the mid-cap pack. It's up around 4%. HDFC Asset Management Company.
I think post results, it has today given a very good opening, and I think the stock is ready to go towards a target of 3,000 at least to start with.
3,000, you said, right?
Yes. Right now we are seeing 2,868.
Okay, 3,000 is the target coming in on HDFC AMC. And what about the other top? Let's talk about the other top gainers from this mid-cap space only. Vaishali, Petronet LNG 232 is the level where we are at this point in time.
One sec, I'll just see. You said Petronet, right?
Yes.
So I think, not much of a clarity, but I would say 225 would be the support right now. It needs to go about 236. Then I think maybe just a trading target of 245, 260, because there is still no clear trend formation as such.
Okay. Shail, over to you. Any
Okay,
stocks
let's
that
again pay
catches
attention to
your
the
fancy?
index. Yes. Yeah, Tanya, I'm just paying attention to the index. Slowly but surely, you see this dip getting bought into. The index is now down just 69 points. And if you look at how the structurally the move is getting anticipated in the market, is mainly on a cross of dips that are getting purchased. Infosys, remember, shut shop and pre-open 5% down. It's now down just 2.5%. Let's look at HDFC Bank. It was down 1.2, 1.3%. It's now down just 0.26%. Every single dip in the 5-minute chart that I have on my screen is getting bought into. So the buy on dip philosophy for the market working wonderfully well. It's a green tick across the board. And if you look at the advanced decline ratio, 1061 versus 771, that's pretty good when it comes to the other themes. The Nifty Realty Index is again the top gainer, a fresh 16-year high on the index, 614. Small caps and mid caps are in the green. The Nifty Auto Index in the green. And whatever dip that you are seeing is getting bought into every single index when you look at it. Fairly strong moves coming on the entire PSU back. I have 76 PSUs in front of me, and the first screen is absolutely in the green. MMTC, IRCON, RITES, RailTel. So it's going to be a railway day on the markets because IRCON and RailTel have now been given Navratna status. Tanya.
Absolutely. So some of our viewers also. So one of our viewers, he wants to he wants to get a view on IRCTC, and the other viewer wants to get a view on IOL chemicals. So Vaishali, if you could go ahead and give us a quick technical check.
So I would say IRCTC is a good buy. It is at a level where I think 680 should act as a good support. It's in a trending zone, and I would say just like how other rail stocks are doing, this has still not performed to that extent. So I would say with a stop loss of 680, this can be a buy for a target of 750 to 760 is a start.
Okay, and what about IOL chemicals?
IOL Chemical also is just consolidating right now. 460 should act as a good support, and a trading range of 520 can be achieved. And above that, we can have a relook for higher targets.
Okay, absolutely. So since we were talking about this entire real estate pack, Vaishali, and the stocks have been on a roll, of course, on the back of strong operational business updates, and we will be talking to the management of Prestige Estates also shortly. But any stocks that you like from this particular space?
So, well, focus is always on Godrej Properties and DLF, and we continue because if you noticed, the IT sector, realty sector on the whole has been surging very high. So, right now, also, I would say Godrej Properties, it's still ready. I think in all likelihood, this can go towards 2000 levels. But we have also recommended our clients Suntech Realty. And I think, it would not be a buy at these levels because it's already gone higher. But those who have bought at lower levels and if they are ready to buy in dip, I would be looking at a target of 500 and 520. These are the targets, which is quite a possibility. But the new buy would be with a support of 420. So if that is the risk reward, which is okay with the clients, one can buy. But otherwise, wait for a dip to buy and look for a target of 500 to 520.
Okay, the first 15 minutes of trade is in front of us, and it's a green thick candle on the Nifty, which basically means that the dip has been bought fairly strongly as far as the index is concerned. A low of 19,640 and it's now trading at 19,729. The index is trying to negotiate the second support level on its way up. Let's see how it works. But very strong moves coming on the index. Let's do a basic health check for this index. Nifty has at the moment 21 stocks in the green, 29 in the red. Remember, this is not the story. The story is that over the last 15 minutes, whatever dips that were open have been purchased into. I'll give you some numbers. In the last 15 minutes, Hero Motors, Maruti are actually up from their lows by 0.4% and 0.7% respectively. The maximum gain has come in HCL Technologies. It's gained 3.5% over the last 15 minutes. Infosys, the low was 1400, the stock is now at 1413. Coal India, the low was 304, the stock is at 310. Vaishali, coming to you, there is something really big that's cooking on Coal India charts. Would you just look at the medium term outlook and share with our viewers where this stock could possibly be heading to?
Well, I think it is showing a lot of trend, but I will be also a bit conservative because technically I'm seeing that it's in an overbought zone and maybe there could be a formation of a negative divergence. So 320 to start with. I would be conservative for my targets from here on because I don't see any further strong upside coming in from here. As I said, because even the weekly and the daily both are in deep overbought.
Fair point. Let's look at the PSU basket again, and of course it's the railway stocks that are just taking it away. The PCR will draw a daily chart of IRFC for you. It's I think the top gainer here. 1 second. IRFC is 1.6% higher at about 76.15. The charts point to a sideways consolidative phase over the last 2 weeks, Vaishali. How do you see IRFC in the limelight against the backdrop that railway stocks are doing pretty well? At the moment, just up 1 or 2%.
Well, I would say even this should be ready for, there's not much of volume that is seen right now, but I think 70 should act as a good support and we can look for a target of 80, 82. And along with that, I'm also looking at RailTel. So overall, this full pack is showing a lot of promise. So I think this too should go towards 80, 82.
Okay, so 8086 on IRFC. Remember, it's the entire railway pack that is ticking deep into the green thanks to a government change that has happened on RITES and IRCON. These are two very well-known railway stocks. They have been given Navratna status, which basically means more operational flexibility to these PSU entities. They can take independent decisions. They can invest into projects without government approval to the size of about 1,000 crore rupees. And that's added a zing when it comes to the railway basket. Apart from that, the entire PSU chain is thick in trade. You have ITI 8.5% higher, 245, MMTC 6.5% higher, 75. IRCON RITES we've discussed. SGVN is trading in the green, 2% higher, 72.40. Whole host of small to mid cap PSU companies that are doing fantastically well on the markets. Let's look at the defense space. This is something that has changed for the better. MTAR Tech 1.7% higher, 25.88. Zentech 1.2% higher, 738. Bharat Dynamics and Hindustan Aeronautics in the green. Vaishali, to you on Hindustan Aeronautics, a nice stock split and the counter around 2000. What are the long-term charts talking to you?
Well, I think it still shows a lot of hope for a target of 2200, 2300. So I think 1900 should act as a stop loss and one can go for it for a target of 2200.
Okay, absolutely. Now let's pull up Paytm also. and Zomato as well. So basically, Paytm, the Reserve Bank has imposed a monetary penalty of 5.39 crore rupees on Paytm Payments Bank for non-compliance with KYC norms. So you can see a negative reaction on this particular counter. 946 is the level where we are at. Coming to you, Vaishali, first your technical check on Paytm and then Zomato as well, because Zomato hit its 52-week high yesterday, 113.25. Right now, it is trading in the green itself. But what are your thoughts?
So to start with Paytm, there's not really much of a negative move. Well, 930 should act as a support. If that support breaks, then I would be wrong in my view. But as long as 930 is held on, I think this is quite well poised for a target of 1000 to start with. And well, Zomato has been an all-time favorite for everyone. It's currently at 111. So I would now elevate my support levels to 105 and look for a target of 120 to 125.
Okay, absolutely. 120 is the level for Paytm. And we should also pull up Dr. Reddy's because this stock will be in focus today. So basically, US FDA that has issued 9 observations after inspection of the company's biologics manufacturing facility in Hyderabad. So 0.5% downtick there as we speak. As we speak, 5497 is the level. But what should be the buy level for this particular stock, Vaishali, and what do the technical charts suggest?
So actually, we have recommended this stock to our clients because I think after a long run up and a good corrective move, and even as per our technical parameters, 5300 acts as a very good support. If you see the chart, there is a long consolidation taking place between 5300 and 5500. So this, according to me, is a buying zone. And the stop loss also comes to 5200 levels. So once we see the stock going above 5600, I think I would look at a target of 6,000. So my view for now is very positive. But 53, below 53, the view gets negative.
Okay, absolutely got that. And any other stocks, Vaishali, from pharma space only that you like?
So, well, I am looking at Oro Pharma because Oro Pharma is yet to see the higher targets. We have seen this stock surging very well and it still continues. So now I would say 850 should act as a support. And if I'm seeing the weekly chart and all, it's quite ready for a target of 1040. So Oro Pharma is one of the stocks that I would be looking at.
Fair point.
Let's
just sort of spread our. Yeah, Vaishali, please go ahead.
Yeah, the stock which looks favorable to buy right now is Torrent Pharma. Have a look at that chart too. In good consolidation, good bullish candle formation for today also. I would say that, well, we have a good trade coming here with 1870 as a support, 1860 as a support. And once we see a good pickup coming about 1900, 1910, this stock can go towards 2000 levels. So, Torrent Pharma looks good to me.
Okay, so there's a swing trade in the making as far as Torrent Pharma, as far as the F&O space is concerned. It's also the top gainer in the pharma space over the last 15 minutes. Let's look at the broader picture on Torrent Pharma. And again up 0.7%. Let's look at volume and open interest on this particular space. Yes, it's in the green when it comes to open interest, just 0.5% higher, but remember it's the first 20 minutes of the trade and this is not a high beta space when it comes to individual stocks. But yes, Torrent Pharma, the daily chart points to a nice uptick which should be happening. For the moment, 19,721 as far as the Nifty is concerned, still down 72, but the story is not that. The story is that from a low of 19,640, the index has bounced and this gap down has been purchased very actively by bullish traders. Bank Nifty 310 points lower, 44,280. IT index suffering the pain that Infosys has inflicted yesterday and the TCS day before, 85 points lower at 31,921. Remember, all these indices have recovered very, very sharply from their intraday lows pointing to a very robust undertone when it comes to the dips getting bought. And apart from that, we are seeing a very strong traction coming into the entire PSU basket. Sectorally, if you look at the FNO space, finance, FMCG, oil and gas and telecom have been sectors that have been attracting a lot of bulls on the long side, and a bit of a dip happening on banking overall, on metals broadly, and of course a mild downtick on the real estate space. Federal Bank, coming to you, Vaishali, it's one of those lovely bright sparks that you see in the market, doing extremely well. Low ticket, super high beta, and a record high. What would you do?
So, well, we have seen that in spite, this was one of the stocks which held on in spite of all the weakness that we saw in the market. So, I would say near-term target resistance comes to 155 levels. A decisive move past that, it's quite possible to see a target of 165 to 170. So, for as a trader, short-term trader, my resistance is at 155. So, yes, for a short-term trade also, it's a buy.
Okay, that's a view on Federal Bank. The earnings trajectory will be announced fairly shortly, but at the moment it's the top gainer within the bank Nifty space, and it's doing fairly well when it comes to the other traction in the other banking sector. Okay, let's shift focus. Tanya has discussed HDFC, AMC in great detail, as also HCL Tech. The other stock, Vaishali, which hasn't done pretty much anything, is Petronet LNG. A flat kind of a chart over the last 1 year or so, and it shows some kind of traction now when it comes to the price up 2%. What are the longer term charts on Petronet talking to you?
So yes, I mean, even if you see the weekly chart, it's been just a consolidation, just a band of, the recent band is, well, I would say 200 to 240 levels, 235 to 40. So we need this stock to move past 245 levels to get some clarity on trend. So till then, we would say for a short-term trading strategy, 220 to act as a support and 235 to 40 to act as a resistance. Let's wait for it to cross those levels. Then we can look for higher targets of perhaps towards 260 and so on.
Okay, let's look at stocks that are sort of in complete bull control, and that you will see via the 52-week high list that is in front of you. ITI, Vaishali will take that chart out and we'll discuss it in a short while. Fresh record high, 250, up 10%. Remember, it's a PSU stock. MMTC, Tanya and Vaishali have already discussed, 7% higher, 75.80. We have a strong traction coming into Gas Authority of India, 1.8% higher, 131.70. Ethanol equipment maker Praj Industries, 602, 1.4% higher. Coal India, we've discussed with Vaishali, 308.80, 0.5% higher. DLF, NMDC, and of course Sun TV. So these are the stocks that are showing very strong traction on the long side. Fresh 52-week highs, fresh record highs in some of them, and it's working pretty well for bulls at the moment. The advanced decline ratios in the broader markets favoring bulls on the long side on Dalal Street. Coming back to ITI, very strong chart, Vaishali, on this one. Would you chase this momentum, or is this just too hot?
I think, well, for a buying perspective, I would not. We've missed that boat. But still, as an aggressive trader, I would say keep the stop loss of 224. And this can go towards 280 levels. Seeing the momentum, seeing the volume pick up since a couple of days, this can do 280 levels. But for that, stop loss needs to be 224. While for those who are already holding, please keep holding with a trading stop loss.
Okay. Vaishali, we'll request you to pause a bit, and this is the time to shift gears and focus on our corporate radars segment. We are welcoming Mr. Irfan Razak Chairman and Managing Director of a very big real estate company, Prestige Estates from Bangalore. Good morning, Mr. Razak, and it's a pleasure to host you, sir. One of those wonderful times to be in the real estate sector, both as a builder as also as a stock investor. Phenomenal moves coming in when you see million square feet sales, when you see demand for luxury housing, and when you see demand for middle income housing. How do you see the sector, sir, over the next 1 year or so, and what are the bright spots that we are focusing on?
Performing well. I believe that housing is a need and will continue to remain a need. Hence, the business also has been pretty good. The only thing is we need to see what are the price points, what is the affordability, and where is the point that affordability breaches. So as long as I'm able to match the consumer's affordability, and as long as I'm able to give a good product in a good location, I believe the demand will always be there, and I don't see any dearth of demand.
Okay, let me just go through the second quarter performance of Prestige Group. Sales have been up 102% in terms of rupees, somewhere like 7,092 crore rupees. Quarterly collections up by about 1%. Look at the sales volume. It's up 50% year on year at 6.84 million square feet. And the average realization per apartment or villa has also gone up by about 29%. Units sold have been about 3,615, and a similar kind of structure is also available for the first half of the current financial year. Mr. Razak, like I mentioned in my opening remarks, these are wonderful days for builders to be setting up newer and better projects both in the residential as well as the commercial space. Tell us, what are the expansion plans for the second half of the year? How does the pipeline look in terms of newer residential projects, and what is the million square feet target for the next 6 months, sir?
Yeah, see, now we've reached 11,000 crores in the first 6 months. And now we have to sustain this. We obviously have to have a pipeline, and we have a pipeline in all the cities that we operate, including Bangalore. We have a big launch coming up in Mumbai, which is the Ocean Tower in Marine Drive. And then as we go on, we also have Hyderabad, which is the Prestige City, Hyderabad in Shamshabad. And then we have Chennai, which has got the Prestige Pallava Gardens, and several other developments in Bangalore. So the pipeline is pretty big, and it will continue because we have to make sure that we get a newer and better product all the time into the market. And there is good traction, and we have to make sure that it's just like you're bringing in new products into the market, and it's manufacturing. We have to also keep an eye on delivery. Whatever we have sold in the past, we have to make sure it gets delivered within the timelines, and the teams are working very hard towards that. It's only because of the past performance our customers have the confidence to commit for projects that are going to be delivered in the future. So that's a balance that we need to keep all the time, every time. And according to me, there's a big pipeline. Bangalore also has a plotted development called Prestige Kings County in Jigni. And we also have some other newer, nicer projects coming up in various parts of the city. So I believe that as long as the demand is there, we will be introducing newer products as we go along.
Okay, absolutely got that. Very good morning, sir. First of all, congratulations, for reporting outstanding operational results for Q2 and H1. And I want to know it from you that where is the demand coming from? And I'm based here in Mumbai. So what was Mumbai's contribution to the quarter gone by? What's the demand trend, seen right now at this point in time, if you could tell us?
Yeah, again, see, Mumbai has given us 500 crores during the quarter. Hyderabad has given us 500 plus crores. Similarly, Bangalore did, I think, around 6,000 crores. That's where the maximum contribution came from. But the major thing is uh, there was no new launch in Mumbai as well as Hyderabad. Now, these two cities, we're going to have two big new launches, and I believe that Mumbai and Hyderabad will contribute largely for this quarter. Bangalore, we had a very big launch, so that's how the numbers came in. And we had two launches and a launch in the previous quarter to that, so that all added up. So Bangalore has been strong, but then I can't do such a big launch every quarter in one city. So there has to be something coming from somewhere else. So that is what is giving us the confidence that whatever guidance we gave, which we increased it from 16 to 20,000, it's only because that we are quite confident that the teams will work, make sure that the approvals come in, the RERA number comes in, and we are able to bring the product to the market.
Okay, absolutely got that. And also, sir, in just the first 6 months of FY24, you have achieved sales of 11,007 crore, which is close to the sales of entire 12 months of FY23. So, what would be the run rate in the second half of this year, and what kind of pre-sales are you looking at when you talk about entire FY24?
Yeah, that's why I said, see, we've reached 11,000 plus, and I believe that in the next 2 quarters, we should be able to do another 9,000 and try and achieve 20,000. If not around that, this thing space, I think the way we have the pipeline and the type of products, and once we get all the approvals, we should get to that 20K mark pretty comfortably.
Right. Mr. Razak, share with us the buyer psychology. At least in Delhi, where I am based, your larger rival DLF launches, expensive flats, at least expensive to the middle income, and they get sold in the first 2 or 3 hours. How are buyers reacting these days? The smile on your face tells us that it's one of those wonderful Goldilocks kind of a scenario happening in the real estate space. How are buyers interacting with you, sir?
No, see, it's not the Goldilocks type of scenarios. It's actually there was pent-up demand. And believe you me, if you ask me, even till today, the mid-income group is where we need to target. Yes, buyers are there, whoever can buy expensive property, but that doesn't happen all the time, every time. That pent-up demand gets filled up. And then after that, what? So, but then where you have a sustained demand, where you have a sustained requirement is in the mid-income. And if I'm able to get that product right, I believe that we have it going well, and there will always be a demand. It doesn't mean to say if it's mid-income, it has to be substandard. It has to be premium. It has to be good, and at the same time priced properly and affordable to the middle class. And that's where the entire sweet spot is.
Right. Mr. Razak, let's come to how margins are getting impacted. While you have the flexibility and, of course, the demand to raise per square feet prices, especially in luxury residential real estate, at the same time, margin pressure is evident on how cement prices, land prices in particular, have moved, as also steel. How do you see margin compression in the quarters ahead? While the top line has been phenomenal for Prestige, it's the EBIT margin which hasn't improved really.
No, this is what we need to watch all the time, every time. While we price our product, we also need to, like you rightly said, our input costs is land, steel, cement, even labor, which is a big thing to get labor to put up all this construction that we have sold. You need that right type of skilled labor. So the costs are going up, but we only hope and pray it doesn't go up more than what the normal inflation is. And of course, the danger of pre-selling is always there, that you've sold the product. There's no way of getting anything extra from anybody. And we must hope and pray that whatever the cost that we had anticipated, of course, whenever we plan a cost, there's a buffer that we keep hoping that it won't exceed that. So keeping that in mind, I believe the pricing is also done right. And we can't overprice a product because then it is counterproductive. It won't find favor. If you underprice it, we have to protect our bottom lines and can't afford to underprice it. So it's a balance that we need to keep doing. And I think over the period of years, after working so many years, we more or less understood and learned, unless there's some huge change that happens, which is unpredictable, then that's something that we cannot really forecast. But otherwise, in everything being equal, since it's a timeline of 3 years of construction, we do factor the inflation, we do factor the cost increases as it goes on, and that's how the product is priced. And we hope that we protect our bottom lines. You're very right that we don't work with huge margins, but reasonable margins. That's our job. You see, we can't go and make the product totally unaffordable. So we have to balance that properly. And at the end of the day, if the customer benefits, so be it. And that's what gives the confidence to the customer to invest.
Okay, absolutely got that. And talking about pricing only, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, but pricing in this year has gone up by around 20%. So I want to know it from you that is there, scope for further price hikes as well?
I think we've reached sort of the peak. I mean, now if the price, it's as I said, it's all connected with the inflation. It's if the inflation is not too high, if the input costs are not too high, there's no reason why we should unnecessarily increase the price. Now, the price is a function of, like you rightly said, land and plus the construction cost and plus overheads and margins. So we have a certain expectation on the EBIT margins, and once those EBIT margins are protected, we keep the price at that. Now, so far, because of the various trends that have happened, especially a whole lot of input costs have gone up, including land, because guidance values are always increased every time by all state governments. So the land price also goes up. And of course, approval costs also high today, premiums and other things. Every government wants to see that they get also their fair share of the development that happens. So they also have their own charges. So I don't blame them for it. So all this adds up to the cost. But I believe that we have reached a peak, and we should, if there's any further increase, it's only has to be corrected towards inflation.
Fair point. We'll draw the daily chart of Prestige Estates in front of you. And again, you'll see the smile coming back on Mr. Razak's face. One of those lovely, lovely outperformers that you've seen. This is today's chart. Please pay little attention to it. We'll draw a long-term chart for this one. And it's been a multi-bagger stock over the past 5 years. Each year, the stock has compounded at the rate of 33%. Which basically means every 2.5 years your money has doubled, and it has outperformed the S&P mid cap index by a factor of 2, which means that the mid cap index appreciated by 18% CAGR for the last 5 years, and Prestige did at 33%. So that's the kind of outperformance that we've seen. Of course, it's towards the last part of the rally that this kind of outperformance has come in, but be that as it may. Mr. Razak, we've been fortunate to have a slew of real estate promoters coming in over the last 2 odd months on Market Today, and I always ask this question to each of them. It's to my mind a very, very nice Goldilocks environment for the real estate space. Anything that could do right is happening in the same direction. Sir, is there anything that keeps you awake at night?
No, the only thing that is important is that we have committed to our customers. We have pre-sold our product. So we have to see that we make sure delivery happens. And I think that's a commitment for the entire team. The good part is selling. Selling happens because people come with confidence. And now people get into, I always say this to my customers, you are very brave. You have committed yourself to putting your savings, taking a 15-year loan, 20-year loan, and with the sole objective of having your own home. And I have to make sure that the whole team performs, the whole team delivers, and we work towards that. The numbers on the board for me have no meaning because the important part is we have a responsibility and have to make sure that we uh, uh, fulfill that responsibility and deliver in style.
Very fine words, Mr. Razak. A real estate home which the Indian middle class buys is the largest component of any Indian's balance sheet. And of course, while you can put a price to a flat or a property, but it's more of an emotional connect when it comes to buying a house. And we, at least in the northern part of India, have seen terrible stories over the last 10 odd years that projects have been announced but not delivered. A lot of changes that have happened for the better in the real estate space over the last 4 or 5 years has been the introduction of the RERA Act, and Mr. Razak very wonderfully says that delivery of the home is the most critical component for any real estate player rather than the numbers which we see on the screen. Mr. Razak, thank you so much for this wonderful exposition on how the second quarter as well as the next 4 quarters will look at. It's a pleasure to host you, sir, and we hope that good things continue for the real estate space. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you so much.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll come back to the markets. The Nifty at the moment trying to negotiate that red gap that happened in the morning, now down about 90 points, 19,704. Remember, the battle for the bulls and the bears on this Friday the 13th is at 19,700, and it's a sea of green across the PSU pack. Very strong money coming into the government PSU basket on the metal side as also on the railway side. So this is what is from my end. Over to you, Tanya, for the end of the show.
Absolutely, Shail. I think it's all about IT today. We have HCL Tech as the top gainer, while on the flip side, we have Infosys as the top loser. And of course, we have some of the FMCG names as well, which are supporting the markets as we speak. We have Tata Consumers, we have Nestle, and some of the PSU counters like Coal India also supporting the markets as we speak. On the other hand, we have SBI, Axis, some of the banking names that are not really supporting the markets. But on that note, it's time for me and my team to wrap up this edition of Market Today and thanks so much, Shail, for joining us here on Business Today Television, and lots more coming up for you, so don't go anywhere. Just stay tuned for all the latest market updates, and many thanks for watching.
What if you get an income tax notice? Should you be worried? What happens if you ignore these notices? And how should you be prepared to respond to such income tax notices? Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this show, our focus will be